What was that like to have a career of 25 plus years here in Spokane where you're at the top of your game? Like, and then all of a sudden one day you switch. How, A, what caused the switch?
Yeah.
And B, how scary was that to go all in and do something that you weren't comfortable with?
I actually used the fear as a motivator. I decided that I wasn't going to, especially now, it wasn't, there are certain times in your life when you can do those things. In your 20s, it's easier. You don't have a family. When you're in your 30s and 40s and raising a family, that's not what I would have done. I wouldn't have just jumped ship. But my kids are fully sustaining themselves. I don't owe any more student loans. Like it was the perfect time to have an awakening. And so that's what I did when I realized, like, wait a second here. Don't put coulda, shoulda, woulda on my grave because I don't want that to be my story.
What if the biggest risk isn't failing, but looking back and regretting the chances you never took? Today, I sit down with Stephanie Vigil, the beloved former news anchor who spent more than 2 decades building a legacy in Spokane, Washington, before making a fearless leap into the unknown, stepping away from the spotlight to explore new opportunities and ultimately becoming an auctioneer. From delivering the news to now calling bids, Stephanie's story is one of reinvention fueled by curiosity, courage, and community. Her ability to leverage her voice in new ways and stay grounded in faith and family proves that the next chapter can be just as meaningful, if not more, than the one before it. Get ready to be inspired by Stephanie Vigil's journey of bold change and heartfelt contribution, only on Navigating No. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Well, you and we met via friends, basically, and I asked you to come on, and you just have you're not a fellow Spokaneite, but you've been here long enough to be a Spokaneite.
Oh, I am a Spokaneite. Yes,
Okay, you
yes.
take
The
total
majority
credit
of
of that.
my life has been here in Spokane.
Okay, so you and we have mutual friends, and everybody's like, you need to have Stephanie on because she has overcome so many challenges in her career and her personal life, and it's like, that's what we want to hit on, and that's why I wanted you to be here. And so thank you for being a part of this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, yeah. Well, tell us about you and where you are now. I mean, you landed your anchor position here, but can you give the audience kind of like a rundown of why you were brought into Spokane?
Well, I was brought into Spokane to be the morning anchor with my co-anchor, Dan Kleckner. Gosh, it's been almost, I want to say like 27, 28 years ago. And we had such a great time and such good chemistry together. A few years later, we got promoted to the main position at KHQ. And we held that position for, I think, 23 years together until he retired. So
Who retired first? You or
he did.
He did.
He
Okay.
retired first. He's 10 years older than I am, so he was ready to go. And he's over in Seattle now with his children and grandchildren and enjoying life. And I am in San Diego now. So I retired almost 2 years. In June, it'll be 2 years from KHQ, which seems like yesterday.
Sure.
So when I left, I had a pickleball business in my back car. And I was going down to San Diego into an apartment there right next door to Petco Park to be closer to my children. So I have 2 boys that really grew up in the spotlight here in Spokane because I brought one up from Sacramento when he was 2, and then I had the other one here at Sacred Heart.
At Sacred Heart, that's where I was born as well.
Oh,
so fair,
it's a
fair
great
enough.
place.
It is a great, and our kids go in there for children's, and it's just like it's a great hospital.
Well visits.
Exactly, wellness visits. That's right. Well, okay, so you're in San Diego now, but you were not originally from Spokane, but you moved up to Spokane to actually get into anchoring because you were a journalist down in California, in Sacramento. So what brought you here?
Was the anchoring.
Okay.
So it was 100% my job. I had never been to Spokane before. I'd heard about it and I heard it was beautiful. And when I got here, that's exactly what it was, is gorgeous. And I thought, what a good place to start my career and to raise a family. And little did I know what was a 2-year stint turned into a 25-year stint. So I got to know the region. I skied once a week with my girlfriend before when our kids would get off to school. We'd run up to Mount Spokane before I would go to work. Had my boat on Lake Coeur d'Alene for 25 years. Like really, truly made the most of memories here. I did the half Ironman at Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, you
one
did?
year. Yeah, that was so fun, and just loved being outside cycling. And yeah,
Have you done a polar plunge in Coeur d'Alene?
No, I never did. Oh, we were always on.
We'll
the
have to
air.
remedy that. I think.
Have you?
Not in Coeur d'Alene, but in Liberty Lake we have, where
okay.
you have to break the ice up, and it's like my wife loves things like that.
I
She
do
does
too.
the polar plunge. I'm like, oh.
I love cold therapy.
Okay.
So I like that stuff.
So you moved up here. Did you have the position before you moved, or did you come up here, tried out, and you applied?
No. It's all so I had an agent, and so a headhunting group was looking for a female anchor in the mornings, and so they just happened to run across my tape because of the work that I had done in Sacramento, starting out as a reporter there. So when I graduated from reporting to anchoring, this was my first anchoring stint.
Were you?
And my last.
And your last. So, I mean, you were complete career here.
100%.
In Spokane. Well, that's it. And when you applied for that job, I mean, this is 20 plus years ago. Was that a hard market to get into as a
Spokane?
Well, not only Spokane, but like being an anchor at that time. Was that hard?
Well, I always say
a career?
Being an anchor is almost like being the mayor. Because there are very few. There's only one mayor in a city, right? There are really, if there are 3 networks, there are only 3 people that get that job in every market. So if there are only 3 or 4 in 200 markets across there are very few, female or male anchors in the world, to be honest. So yes, it was one of those things where I knew from a very young age that I wanted to at least be a journalist. And I would watch, like I told you earlier, I would watch the news like you watch Star Wars. I probably watched it so many times and just was fascinated by the news and knowing more than anybody else.
Well, Star Wars did provide a few lessons to me, for sure.
Good.
So you were always interested in that kind of line of work.
Yes.
You got the position here, and you started. What was that like at the very beginning? Were you nervous at the when you first started?
I barely remember my name. And I'm not even kidding. I was so nervous. I mean, just like anybody that is in front of a mic and doesn't do that very often, it's really hard to put on a mic in the very beginning of anything. I mean, just now I'm an auctioneer. I can't even tell you. I can't sleep 2 days before and I can't sleep 2 days after. I mean, it's so nerve-wracking. But I love that. I really like the excitement of almost not knowing who you are because you're doing something so incredibly crazy and fun and interesting, and then it all calms down.
Is the calming, like, do you get a natural high afterwards? Like as soon as you're done with an interview or you're done with a program, like as soon as you're done, you're like, man, I felt so good, but then you have to repeat it the next day.
I love the natural high, but you don't. After 25 years of anchoring the news, I did not get that way. When there was breaking news and I didn't know what the outcome was going to be and all this information was coming in by the second, that's when I start to get the high because, you have to be factual. You have to make sure that things are correct before you get it out on the air. It's happening right in front of your face. So that automatically gives you this like high alert. And so I would go into high alert all the time with breaking news. But the day-to-day news, not so much after a few years.
Sure. You get into that routine.
Anything, right.
Well, absolutely. But when I don't know this, but when you're in front of the camera and there is breaking news, is it put across the screen in front of you that you read it, or are you given papers during a break or something?
All of it.
How hard is
literally
that?
all of it. You've got your director in your ear. You've got your producer who's grabbing information. They're setting up interviews on the sidelines, so I'm listening. People are running over. Your news directors. Everyone's involved when there's breaking news. I mean, I could just think right now of COVID, and then we had the riots here in Spokane. I mean, and all that was happening at the same exact time, and it was really being on the air when people were rioting outside of in downtown Spokane.
Absolutely.
It was frightening, and it was like, what is happening and what's going on, and how many people can we get out there to get this information back to the masses.
When you did provide that and you were doing that every time, like was it neat when people would come up later and they'd say, you did an awesome job. Like, what was that high like for you? Like, were you accolades or something like that? Like,
I love people. I mean, I've always loved people, and I've always, being, I don't even want to say celebrity. That just sounds so, I don't look
your
at myself
personality
like that. I just like people,
Yeah.
and I like nice people, obviously. And so
We
it
can be
didn't
friends.
bother me at all.
Okay.
It didn't bother me at all that somebody came up. I mean, way back when, it happened a lot more often. When social media came about, it stopped. And when the generations, you could see there was a turn in people's behaviors because they weren't necessarily watching the news as much. They were watching their phones. They were on Facebook or on Instagram. So there were times later on in my career when people, and you do get over yourself. I mean, I would say after maybe my 20s, I was just so happy to be doing what I was doing and proud and probably had more of an ego. And then you have children and all that goes away.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
My wife always says that. She's like, you're not a bachelor anymore. And
Right.
it's like your responsibilities and your priorities completely change.
Completely.
And you do see things a little bit differently.
And your kids don't look at you like that. My kids never looked at me like I was a celebrity. They looked at me or the lady on the news. I was mom.
Well, and that's like an idol in and of itself.
Right.
Because you're the number one for that.
Right.
And so, speaking of, your boys went down to, they both went down to California, into San Diego afterwards?
La Jolla and Newport Beach.
And that was one of the reasons that you wanted to head back down there after you left your position here.
Yes.
What was that like to have a career of 25 plus years here in Spokane where you're at the top of your game? Like, and then all of a sudden one day you switch. How, A, what caused the switch?
Yeah.
And B, how scary was that to go all in and do something that you weren't comfortable with?
I actually used the fear as a motivator. I decided that I wasn't going to, especially now, it wasn't, there are certain times in your life when you can do those things. In your 20s, it's easier. You don't have a family. When you're in your 30s and 40s and raising a family, that's not what I would have done. I wouldn't have just jumped ship. But my kids are fully sustaining themselves. I don't owe any more student loans. Like it was the perfect time to have an awakening. And so that's what I did when I realized, like, wait a second here. Don't put coulda, shoulda, woulda on my grave because I don't want that to be my story. I want to be the person that is bold and strong enough, and my kids can see that I can do this for the love of my family. And so to go down there and to make this decision to leave something that was so stable was not scary in the beginning. It was thrilling. It didn't become scary until I realized I didn't want to be selling pickleball apparel anymore.
Out of the back of your car.
Then it got scary.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, peddling apparel against Nike, Adidas, Viore, Lululemon in the pickleball business. I mean, I would have sunk myself quickly.
So you actually started your own business, entrepreneurial wise, and you went down and you were like, okay, I'm going to do this. And very quickly you learned the competition was going to be pretty tough.
Right.
And was that a hard thing to accept, or was that easy?
For a second, it was paralyzing. I mean, it was.
Because your options were limited? Or?
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do next. Like I didn't have a plan C. So I was like, oh no. Oh, and it was right after Christmas. And I remember my son called me just to say hello and check in. And I broke and I just started bawling. I'm like, I don't know that I can stand up right now. Like it was hard to even get out of bed. And he's like, it's okay, Mom. What you did was huge. You made a massive change in your life. And both the boys, I mean, right after one called, the next, it was like they sensed it. Are you okay? And I'm like, I am, but I need to think. Like I need to just be clear on what I want to do after this. So it wasn't all peaches and cream. That's for sure.
How amazing that you had your boys' support system behind you, even if it wasn't working out the way that you thought it was going to.
Right.
I love that you mentioned that you didn't have a plan C, because a lot of people don't even have a plan B or a plan A. And if you don't have any plan or a roadmap to where you want to go, it can be terrifying.
Yes.
It can be that deer in the headlights, and it can be paralyzing.
Right.
So you mentioned that you had to think. Like, what was that thought process? How long did you take to think? And you're like, okay, I have enough money in my bank for this, or should I move? Did I make a mistake?
Do
and
you want
move
me to
down
tell
here?
you what I really wanted to do?
Yes.
I thought about getting a storage unit and throwing everything in the storage unit and just traveling and literally buying a backpack and just leaving, slipping out, and then checking in with the boys occasionally. Like, I'm over here now. I'm over here. That's what I had thought. That was one option, was that maybe I would just, because I had always loved traveling and I wanted to kind of get back into that wanderlust kind of life that I had when I was just out of college. And then I realized that that wasn't going to be what I needed at that time. So,
Needed or fulfilling?
well, I'm still fulfilling that. I'm
Okay.
traveling now quite a bit because auctioneering is only 6 months out of the year. So it's seasonal. So on the other months that I'm not working, I'm off and running.
Okay. And so you thought that could be plan C, and you just kind of, okay, I'm going to put my stuff in storage.
Then that would have been a temporary plan C.
100%,
So that's
yeah.
why I was like, this is so temporary. I can't do that for the rest of my life.
A Band-Aid for the problem that was at hand.
Right.
Okay. And so you contemplated that, and quickly you were like, okay, that's just a Band-Aid. What changed?
I think realizing one of the things about me is that I have no problem being on the mic. I love people. When I was here in Spokane, all the young reporters that were like, what's the secret to your success? Like, give me the secret. I'm like, it's so simple. Get outside of yourself. You are not the prettiest, the smartest, the thinnest, the best looking. You are in service of this community. And it's a huge, huge honor, and it's a huge responsibility. So what I did in my time here in Spokane was just be a part of the community, help other people, get engaged with nonprofits, and my heart grew. I mean, I wasn't asked to do that when I was a little kid. I never volunteered my time for anything. I think I did one time in college for an internship, but other than that, KHQ really taught me how to have a giving heart. And so that was one of the things I thought about. I love helping others. I don't mind asking. I can't ask for money personally, but I can ask for a good cause.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I remember there was this great auctioneer here in Spokane, Rose Bax. She's a wonderful woman. She does such a good job. And her and I had emceed. She was the auctioneer at many events throughout my career. And I remember looking at her one time saying, when I grow up, I want to be like you.
Oh, wow. That's an awesome
And
story.
so it kind of, all of a sudden, I was like, I think auctioneering. So I called this guy, Bob McConkey, who owns Dealer's Auto Auction here in Spokane. Bob was like, Steph, this would be a great job for you. You really should do it. Talked to Rose. Rose was like, I applaud you 100%. You're going to love this job. It's so fun and so much give back. I went to college in Bozeman at the College of Auctioneering, and that's when when I hit that deposit button and gave my $500 deposit, I just knew. I was like,
to go to
I think
school
I'm
for
on it.
auctioneering. Okay. You hit on so many things. Let's go back. One thing was that you realized, like, okay, I have these options now, right? And you're like, okay, how am I going to open this up, and what am I going to do? What I heard you say is you had a confidence team, like somebody was there to support you.
Oh, for sure.
That being your mentor here. But what I also heard is that you put in the reps prior to becoming an auctioneer. Like, you didn't even realize you were doing that. You
Right.
didn't realize that all of the experience that you were gaining in front of the mic, all the experience of networking and
Yes.
meeting all of these people, knowing and being able to look at yourself and say, these are my strengths. This is what brings me happiness. This is my purpose. This is my why. It's helping people, giving back, mentoring, and then doing things for a good cause.
Yes.
And I love that, because you're sitting back and looking for a plan C. Really what I'm hearing you say is that you really just looked at yourself deep, and you were like, what brings me the most happiness? What would fulfill me?
Yeah.
And then what, by chance, by talking to different people, maybe they would open up an opportunity. And that sounds what it hit.
Well, you can't just pivot your life and completely leave without knowing that I had so much over the years that I had grown. I was no longer afraid. I was just ready to take on something new and a new challenge. And I think that was the perfect, it was the perfect pivot over pickleball. So I have a bunch of pickleball gear if you need any. I should have brought you something.
Oh my God. Yes. I would love that. Wait, my family loves pickleball.
Oh my God. I still love pickleball, by the way. I didn't want to not like it. So that's why I left.
It's so funny to see how that has exploded, because I remember at Ferris in high school, we had PE and they would pull out the pickleball for just like a little bit. And it was one of the most fun things I'd ever done.
So fun.
It was a blast. You'd have the paddles, and we each had our own paddle, and we were able to write things on the paddle. And
like a yearbook?
I like the yearbook, right. But it was the little motivation things that I had to win at that. And it was just a blast. So no, we love it. I'm sorry
Pickleball's
that.
Awesome. No, don't be sorry. Everything happens for a reason. So I was really happy to do it. And I still love the gear, the team here in Spokane that helped me put it together. They're phenomenal, and I still keep in touch with them. And it was just a great way for me to actually get happy on that train to my new life, and then realize when I got there that was just the kind of catalyst that got me going. But
that was the
auctioneering
switch.
Is it.
Absolutely. When you stepped into it, I think a lot of people would relate that when you first start a job, you don't know everything. And that can be scary in and of itself. And so even though you have that experience in front of a mic, networking, asking for things for a good cause, asking for money, you're not the expert at it yet because you haven't put those repetitions in, but you do have a good foundation. How difficult was that the first few times? Like, when did you get your traction?
I think I'm still getting my traction. I think that still learning the chant and how to do that, and I'm not seamless whatsoever, but what I can do and what I do well is research. So I'll research your company. I will research your organization. I will pull out when the paddle raise comes out, why you should give to this organization, what makes it so special. And so those are the things that I know and I lean on, are the things that I can bring your organization value on this night because I have done my homework. And then the other part of it, the chanting, is not even I'm not even working on that as much anymore as I am just the poise, the presence, having the confidence to be out there and working as a part of that organization that evening.
Well, I've been to several fundraisers and being on different boards, and it is an amazing talent. Because I can see, as a speaker, as a motivational speaker, it is a completely different ballgame.
Right.
Up there. And your ability to improv and be on the spot and read the tables, that's one of my favorite things speaking, is like you can find somebody in the audience and like really connect with that person.
Right.
And I'm assuming that when you see the paddles go up, right, how fun is it when you see them battle? Like, do people battle and you're like, bring it?
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
And especially when they're battling and then different person pops up, and then you learn little things like fire in the hole, new fire, and then your bid spotters are like, yes. So you're trying to get, and I always ask the audience too, if you're not raising your paddle, bring your energy. Help me out here with just cheering them on.
Get behind it, because it is a good cause, especially depending on what you're trying to do.
Right.
But it's like you do get that they are getting the high raising the paddle, because it's like you're giving away something, you are donating, and it's like, but I don't want to be outbid. So when you see them battle, do they ever talk about it afterwards? They're like, oh, you had me. I would have done this.
I had one. So I did one in San Francisco, and like 4 of them biggest chefs in San Francisco were there, and they were doing presentations that night. Then everyone would eat the food that they were just talking about and preparing. Well, they have a new restaurant opening in the city. So the chef came out, one of them, with we're going to invite 8 people to this dinner. We're going to invite Steph Curry. He'll be there. We'll go down to the Speakeasy. So he's setting the table, right, for this amazing auction item. And I think I sold it at $26,000, but somebody was like, sell 2, and he wouldn't let them. And so, but that was so fun to go from 5,000 to 7. Someone's up at like 10, another one's up at 15, and then you get them at $26,000, and it's crazy. The whole place just went wild. It was so fun.
I have to ask,
so fun.
Has anyone ever gone, I shouldn't have raised my hand. Like I got above myself.
You
like,
can see that.
You can see that,
especially because there's lots of alcohol being served, right? Yeah, but what I really
the trick to auctioneering is bring the alcohol.
Oh, what I really see more than anything is the husband and wife, right? And then the wife wants it and the husband doesn't, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And so I can see them talking, and I'm usually like, don't look at him. Look at me. It's girl time.
Oh, my goodness.
Like little things like that
Yeah.
that get them excited. And then she's like, okay.
Oh, that's
but no one's really ever, I hope not, at least not to me. They haven't come back and said, no, I didn't mean to do that.
Sure,
but
regret.
You can tell, though, you can also tell, and I try not to push it, but when they're done raising the paddle, they'll literally put their head down, like, don't look at me or don't talk to me anymore. I'm done.
Like when you pull up to a street and you see somebody outside your car and you're pretending you're on the same thing.
Yeah, like, come on, don't ask me anymore. I'm like, okay, I'm not. I'll sell it to him.
Well, that's funny because that's that regret sometimes that we feel. And you had actually mentioned that in your TEDx talk is about staying curious and not regretting. Your regret would be more painful to you than actually doing something.
Yes.
And what was it like to speak at TEDx?
Great. It was such a honor. Erin Peterson, she's a huge influencer here in Spokane, nominated me to speak at TEDx. And so number one, I was completely honored and then nervous. I'm preparing for it, and it's a big talk, and it's a privilege, and you just want to know that you can make sense. And
a difference.
And then they tell us that you can't use notes. And I'm like, oh, 10 minutes of no notes. Like, that's a challenge. So now I'm challenged by this whole thing. And, once again, I don't mind the sleepless nights to get a good message out there.
Yeah.
Or to be able to do something that hopefully will inspire somebody else to go fly. Just go fly. I told my kids when they were younger, I brought you to the ledge, both of them, when I sent them off to college. And it's scary, and they both went out of state. They didn't know a single soul. I said, I brought you to the edge because I knew you could fly, not because you were going to fall. And even if they did, they would get back up again, and I would help them, find that confidence inside of them to fall. But to fall was for them just to go to another college closer by.
Sure.
It wasn't the end of anything. It was just like, hey, I want you to get out there. I'm helped you build these wings. Now go fly. And I had to use that on myself. I had
many
to,
times.
At that point in my life, say, what have you told friends? What would you tell your best friend that you're not telling yourself right now? And that is, go fly. You have all this skill inside of you. And even if you don't, when I was, okay, this is true serum.
Oh, okay.
When I was I got my master's at Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
But before I got my master's, I had to give them all of my transcripts from the 6 years of my undergrad stuff that I did not do well at all. At all.
Right.
I gave Gonzaga 25 years later a 2.00000 of all my transcripts. And I remember Dr. Caputo was like, you're on academic probation. I was like, wait, I thought I made it in life. But when I gave you my past, right, it didn't look good on paper. But that changed, and life changed, and then I loved school so much. And so maybe what you don't like in the beginning when you're younger, you find a little later in life that now serves you.
Well, you can change, right? Like you don't have
totally
to
capable.
decide the end of your life right now. It's like you can pivot, you can adapt, you can change, you can be malleable throughout your entire career and your journey. And I love that. When you applied for the Gonzaga, and I think a lot of people are afraid of like, oh, if I don't do well in school, my resume is not a 4.0. In the scheme of life, it doesn't really matter. It's like what you're learning along the way. And I heard someone say, and my wife says this all the time, is that college, a lot of people are anti-college. And they're like, oh, why would I do that? And what the workforce is not looking for is the grade point average. They're looking whether or not you can do something for 2 years or 4 years or longer.
Yeah.
And are you dedicated? Whether or not you have a 4.0, it's like, Are you consistent? Are you
Right.
disciplined enough to take on something? Because that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Are you going to be a good employee?
They're
Are you
looking
going
for
to
the
take
potential.
100%, 100%. So even though you had a 2.0711, you still were able to finish it.
Right.
And you then took it as like school does not end the day that you graduate.
No. Nor was I ready to continue on with a master's in my 20s, right?
Yeah.
So then in my 40s, I'm like, maybe I am ready. Maybe I do. And I loved it. Like I ended up with a 3.9, which was just amazing. I mean, I would say to anyone, education is the key. And maybe it's not college for you, but educating yourself at any level in life, whether it's taking a class at night, learning something new, going to visit a new place, education is the key because it's one thing to read it. It's another thing to actually have that hands-on, like I've seen it,
Experience.
I've tasted it, I've
Yeah.
felt it. I know what this is.
Well, and I went to UW. And so right after business school, a lot of my friends went right into the MBA school. And I was like, I didn't want that. I wanted real life experience because I didn't believe in my mind. And this doesn't work for everybody. But
Right.
to me personally, I wanted a real life experience of starting my own business, living life outside of the U.S. and like experiences working for somebody and
Right.
actually working that job so that I could take that experience, learn what I didn't like, learn what I did like so that I could then apply it. Because going into college, I didn't know to go to college after
Yeah.
high school. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's not a big thing. So I went down to Mexico and I was like, I didn't realize that the education part could be offered to me. I just knew I loved Japanese. I just knew that I wanted to do international stuff. I wanted to be an international corporate lawyer or something like that. But you needed school for that. And I didn't realize that love until I finally got into it. And I
Yeah.
wasn't in that place at my time that I was ready for that. And it sounds
Exactly.
like you were in the right place at the right time
Yeah.
for all of your different pivots that you've done.
Luckily, you know, I mean, I have to say that I do feel very fortunate. I feel like luck is a real thing, you know, and I also think that timing is everything too. And confidence, you know, believing in yourself. Like you have to have the confidence to believe in yourself and to realize that, you know, our life's journey is a story. You know, what do you want the ending to look like? What do you want the middle to look like? Well, you know, it's not all going to be great. It's not all going to be easy. It's not always going to be a happy story. But, you know, at the end of it, I'm really proud of the story that I've created.
Oh, I love that. When you are on this journey and you're realizing like, wow, all of these accomplishments or these milestones that I've hit, do you look back and say, I'm proud of that, but it's like I can use that as something that I can teach other people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's was always my hope. I mean, my two boys were the ones that I wanted to make the most proud. They were the ones that I wanted to show that at any point in life, you can pivot and that your happiness truly matters the most. Your well-being, your happiness. You know, if you're going to be a best friend, be your own best friend. I mean, all those things that we hear, it's like, it's easy to hear it, but it's not always easy to apply it.
Yes.
So I think that really understanding that why all these old sayings are still around is because they're true.
They're real. Well, you had mentioned the confidence piece, and I don't think that confidence is a born trait. I think you earn it through knowledge and experience
Little
and
wins.
those little scars and those little wins. And when you tell somebody, you tell your boys, number one, but like when you jump into these new positions that you did, like you weren't probably the most confident, but how is it that you were able to make it through that? Like every day those little wins just started adding up, and all of a sudden it became you.
Right.
Like, is that what the confidence came
Oh,
from?
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, if I did get a no, the way I would navigate it is by either proving them wrong or continuing to try even harder. You know, I mean, one of the things so I taught a class at Gonzaga on image and reputation management. And one of the things I'd always say is, what kind of person are you? Do you get back? Are things important to you? Like we always know whether you and I communicate through text. I don't ever not want to get back to you. Like, I want to get back to you immediately. I want you to know that your text is important. I see it. If I can answer it, I'm going to answer it now. I'm not going to wait till the end of the day, and even with the little, I always say this, but the thank you note, the gratitude is like, how grateful are you for those things? And I think that my little wins over time created a very happy person, that when I got a no or lost or whatever it was, it wasn't going to take long to get back, because I'm such a curious person. I'd be off to something else. So looking behind, I don't do that very often. I did bring my Emmy to San Diego so I could look at it when I had bad days. So I could remember that the past was also very good. Even though I've had trying times, even though my life was very public, even though I've had 2 divorces while I was here, and most people would see my ring not on my finger. It's like, you know what? It's life. It's not easy. It's harder some years than others, but the seasons of my life have mostly been phenomenal.
Well, and you're seeing the positives, right? And you do see that these milestones that you have grown, you've fulfilled things. You have what I call net experiences, right? Like these values that you can take with you. You're making these lasting impressions on people. You have 2 great boys that look up to you and have learned so much from you. You've made a difference in our community. People know you, and not as the celebrity, but as somebody they could count on. Right, like every night you're going to be that voice. You're going to be that face that people can count on. Yeah. And I think that's making that difference. And now you're making that difference with bringing money to good causes and to good people. I think that's fulfilling in and of itself. And I think that's a great thing. And that confidence comes. When you had mentioned the auctioneering, was it difficult to learn to rattle the words off really fast? Like, what was the most difficult thing to become an auctioneer?
The chant.
Okay, the chant.
It's always the
chant.
chant.
Can I put you on the spot?
You want me to chant?
Heck yes, I do. I want you to take that book and let's sell this book.
Okay.
No, the nerves
you want me to
are going.
Sell that book?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Do you need to hold it physically?
The sum of 4.
The sum of 4.
Do you know how important and valuable the sum of 4 is? Like, if you don't have those 4 things, if you only had 3, the possibility of not becoming successful really could hinge on the fact that you didn't execute when you should have. This book right here is worth at least, well, it's worth everything. It's worth your future. So would you start the bidding off at $500?
$500. Okay, $500. I'm going to roll with this. That's a lot of cost.
5 now. Would you bid 5? 5 here. Bid it at 5. I got 5 here. Would you bid 6? 6 now. Bid it at 6. I've got 6 here. Would you bid 7? 7 now. Let's go 8. Then I try and get them excited. But usually,
I'm already excited, girl. Don't worry. I didn't know my book could sell for that much. So
right?
That's awesome.
But you're not selling the book. You're selling the emotion.
Oh, I love that.
Book. You're selling the fact that with that book, you will become something so successful. And what's success worth?
Yeah, and success means something different for everybody, right? But it's that emotion, it's that bringing. That's
so
fantastic.
You totally got me on this. Usually we have to do tongue twisters, so I'll do a tongue twister for you. Betty bought some butter, but she said this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, will it make my batter bitter? So she bought a bit of butter, put her in her bitter batter, made her bitter batter. So does Betty bought a bit of butter. So then you just keep saying that, and so as you go
I got
on
the Betty part.
Butter,
yeah, that's
Betty
about it.
Bought some butter. Yeah,
I'm gonna bring it home.
Then when you go into your chanting, you already have this built up system.
Is that your prep right before? Like you said that you don't sleep 2 nights
Eminem
before, but
is
it's
my
like
prep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I listen to him in my ear.
Okay. Like in your ear, and you just do earbud, and then you take that off.
I walk and start doing things, and you've got to make sure when you catch bids, like if you're at 5, I got you at 5. You got to remember he's at 5.
Not 17 or something. Yeah.
You're selling twice, 3 times. You got to remember where you were last to know where you're going next.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's fun.
So
I have one coming up Saturday, actually.
You do? Is it local? Okay.
Yeah, you and your wife are more than welcome to come.
Where is this at?
Northern Quest.
Northern Quest. Okay. That is fantastic. Yeah. What is the cause going to be for?
It's for the Northeast Youth Center. So it's for kids that are, I don't want to say at risk, but lower income. They're maybe having some problems, with money, mom or dad. And so anyway, we're trying to raise money to help them, more of a Head Start program to get them going and stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, I will put that in the calendar possibly.
Okay.
I got to check with the wife, but
Sure.
it sounds awesome. When you're prepping, you had mentioned on your TEDx that you didn't have notes. And so for me personally, when an event planner always asks me, they're like, okay, do you have PowerPoint slides? Do you have this? And I'm like, no, I just do everything off of my story.
Yeah.
And it has saved me many times because of the technical issues, like with sound, or if something technical goes out. And it's like, being able to keep up with that. It does. There's always an error. And so if I know in my mind what it is, and that's worked for me, but it sounds like that was difficult. That was one of your hardest challenges of speed. Did you memorize it or did you feel it?
Well, so this last event that I had done in Saratoga, I actually put my scripts down. Because I am so new at what I'm doing, I would hold the cards with me and I'd look down at it and I could tell, it was that little pregnant pause of, I know the stuff already. Why don't you just put it down? And so this last one, I put it down, and I think it was the best one yet. But there's so much that you have to remember, right? I mean, you have to remember if there's restrictions on a trip. You have to remember where the trip's at, how many people, how many rooms. I mean, just all these little tiny things. And then you've got 10 or 12 of them. So I have to remember everything that's included in it. So is there airfare? Is there not airfare? So I think that preparation, obviously, with anything, speaking, going out and visualizing it, and then preparing for that moment. And if something does go wrong, what would happen? But yeah, I really try at least a week in advance to get a lot of all that stuff down.
All the info, and I'm assuming the planner, the event planner, or the director, they're giving you that information so you can begin to studying it. And so, I mean, it's the same with speaking. It's like when you get up there, people ask me, you taught a class, and I've taught speaking classes, that do you get nervous when you get up in front of the mic, or do you get nervous when you go on stage? And I would tell people that I could talk about my kids for 20 hours. No problem.
Right.
I wouldn't be nervous. I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it's when you don't know the information, that's when you get those butterflies and you're nervous and you don't know. And it just takes you to get rid of that crutch.
Right.
And it sounds to me like you got rid of the crutch.
Right.
And it was your best one yet.
But I would also say too, I mean, prepared, knowing what but you also go in and work with the nerves. Like, I kind of like being nervous. I mean, it does something for my energy. So I'm not just talking at this level. I'm excited about it. So I think the nerves kind of help too. Not too nervous, but prepared enough with a little bit of nervousness helps.
Do you drink coffee or anything like that before you go on?
Coca-Cola.
You drink Coca-Cola.
I literally slam a Coca-Cola so I could get the sugar and the caffeine working for me.
Do you remember Coke too? Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
Somebody brought that up the other day, and I was like, all right, that's fair enough.
This is straight up sugar and caffeine.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
How awesome. And then, okay, so you're auctioneering now. That's kind of where the direction you're going. You mentioned that it's seasonal. It's 6 months. Are you traveling a lot? Like, how can people find you now? Like, how do you get your gigs? You have an agent?
I think no.
Okay.
Through I have a mentor. My mentor is one of the most sought after women in the auctioneering world, and she's so busy, and she's like, there's only one of me. So she has a team of female auctioneers that she will give them, refer them on to somebody else. So just recently, I mean, today I signed a contract for Jackson Hole, Wyoming. This organization, there's an academy going in over there, and I'm going to help go raise some money so these kids could get some really good training and academy in liberal arts. So that's super fun, and she helped me. And then I also, because I'm not shy, I called up many of the best auctioneers in the San Diego region, anywhere. I just want to get as much experience as I can, talk to them, and find that I'm building relationships. And within those relationships comes referrals. So I've been able to get quite a few gigs from referrals. And then in Spokane, being here for so long, now I've done a few events, and I think that people have seen that I'm growing and the business is growing. And it's one of those things where a date is, if it's it's hard to get. Like the best thing you should do when you get married is get the church and then get the venue. And the best thing you can do when you have an event, if you're a nonprofit, is to get the auctioneer and the event center, because the auctioneer is the one that's really going to do the best they can, hopefully, to get the most amount of money they can out of that night. Because a lot, it's one and done, right? They have one gala that they make the most at, maybe two if they're lucky. And so they need to know that I can smash their numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Smash their numbers. You hit on something really important that I think is that I would want people to hear. And that is that when you got into this new career, this new profession, and you found a mentor, but then you started networking with your competition. Because in reality, they're not your competition.
Nope.
There are 1,000 jobs that you can have. You can only be at one.
Yep.
Right? And so either you scale and you have other people behind you, but it's the same in the speaking world. And it's like, most people don't know this. Like, I will only speak to JP Morgan once.
Right.
They're not going to bring me back a year later.
Exactly.
They need another face. They need another story.
Right.
And so it's like, why wouldn't I connect with other people that I could learn from, that I could support, and we could become this community of people that help each other? It sounds exactly what you did.
It is. I mean, because I'm already doing that. If I'm taking that day, I'm giving to the next. And it's such a great network of people and a group that I never knew much about until I got into it. Rose Bax here in Spokane hired me to be her bid spotter for 3 events when I was in town one weekend. And I'm like, thank you so much, because sometimes it cannot be that way with women. I mean, they can be a little bit more possessive or not wanting
controlling.
to give.
Yeah,
but
not controlling, but like you're hanging on to everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just, I have not experienced that at all. It's been phenomenal. And I guess that's when you know, like if all lights are green, I'm going to go. So yeah, and I love the travel aspect of it. So to be able to fly to, I've gone to the Navy Pier in Chicago. I'm going down to Jackson Hole, going over to the Bay Area.
Well,
Phoenix.
you were just in Asia too. Were you working there?
That's where I'm traveling now.
Okay.
So I did travel Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam. And then this fall, I'll probably head to Italy and be there in Italy for about a month. And then from there, I don't know, I think January will be Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
So trying to pick these places that you probably wouldn't get back to for a very long time. So I'd like to stay about a month at a time.
And enjoy the actual process. You sound like my wife. I love that. Okay. That's funny. Well, you hit also that it's like you're connecting yourself around people that are also maybe a couple rungs up on the ladder above you and that you can learn from.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like when you connect with those people, they can teach you so much. If you're willing to learn and if you're willing to be curious, and that just helps your journey too to succeed.
Right. And I mean, I would say that at any age. Like once you become curious, stay open to everything, the excitement, the possibility, the newness of it. And if you've always wondered about it, do a little bit of, now I'd like to maybe get into watercolor. I want to take an art class at a Coronado Watercolor Society, whatever it might be. Open yourself up to it, stay open, and just dabble and see what excites you.
Because you won't know unless you try.
Exactly.
100%. What is one of the most interesting auctions that you've done? You had mentioned that you just did one down in San Francisco about Star Wars. What was that like?
That was so cool. I was George Lucas's right-hand man had this crazy auction item that wasn't even on the menu that he gave to people, which was a private tour of Skywalker Ranch. Which, had I known, so cool. I could have bought it for you and given it to you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Darn it.
I know, right?
I will let the audience know that she didn't know what the AT-AT was behind me, but she knew it was Star Wars.
Yeah.
So fair
From
enough.
From my sons.
That's right. Were they big Star Wars
Love
fans?
Star Wars.
They did.
Yeah.
And so reluctantly you had to watch them sometimes?
So funny. My son had posters up, like Star Wars. He looked like Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, really?
When he was a little boy.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
it was
goodness.
so cute. He had the Anakin Skywalker bowl cut.
Oh. So you're auctioneering. This is your new journey in life, and you're having fun at it, and you're
Yes.
learning so much. If you were to meet your past self, like right now, what would you tell your past self about overcoming these no's and these challenges, being a woman in different fields or industries, or just in life as a parent?
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself and that you would want the audience to know?
What would I tell myself? I probably would say, trust that it's going to be okay. Trust that it will all work out. When I was raising my boys in particular, very nervous, like every parent, what will they turn out to be like? Just the hardship and how hard it is to raise children in this day and age, and the anxiety that comes with it. And I probably would say that keep staying the course. Don't veer. Have your priorities, but know that those hard days are going to pass. And when they do, the sun will shine again, and it will look beautiful, so I would just probably not worry and trust and have faith. Faith has taken me to where I am today. I truly believe that I'm here for a reason. I believe I was put on this earth because there is a God that loves me. And I really am a strong and firm believer that faith has carried me through.
Well, and you're making a difference. You have, and like I mentioned earlier, like you're a household name, you're a household face, and people trust you and they look up to you. And it sounds to me like you're mentoring people now, the younger generations, and you're so willing with your time. Like, I literally reached out to you via other friends, and you were like, I would absolutely do that for you. I would love to do that. And
I thought you were doing something for me. I'm kidding. No, it's just a pleasure to get to know you. You seem like a super cool guy.
Well, I've never had my book sell for that much, so I'm already ahead, and I love it. Well, it has been a pleasure to have you on, and I'm glad that we finally met, and I'm wishing you the best of luck with your future adventures and journeys. And I want to be a part of that journey too, so I will continue staying in contact with you. And just thank you for sharing your message and having that faith in yourself and with everything that you're reaching out and doing. And I just wish you the best of luck, Stephanie. So thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do and for helping others. And to really, have a book like this that really helps people build a structure and a foundation, because I think that is key, having a foundation of who you are and building off of all of these things. I didn't have a mentor when I was younger. Had I had a mentor, wow, that would have made all the difference. But you have to seek things out. So a mentor doesn't just come to you. You have to seek it out. So thank you for teaching everybody, how to become a better person. We need better people in the world, right?
We do need better people. And I think a lot of us, a hard truth is that a lot of us think that the world owes us everything. And it doesn't. That's a hard thing to accept, but it doesn't matter where you're from or what you have. It doesn't owe you anything,
No.
but you do owe it to yourself to be better.
Yes.
And that is a line my wife uses all the time, because we do. And that comes from that growing, that learning, that building those skill sets, whether it's the watercoloring or learning a new language or meeting new people that make you uncomfortable so you can learn their story. And it just makes us better. And being able to share and give back and to make that difference in the world. And you're doing that. And I am so proud of you. And I'm glad to know you now.
Good
so
to know
thank you for
too.
being here today.
Thanks, Blue.
All right, Steph. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to Navigating No. If this episode brings you value or you know someone who could benefit from it, the best way to support the show is by sharing and subscribing. It's completely free and helps us reach more people. And if you have any questions, feedback, or guests you'd like me to interview, drop a comment while you're there. I'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, thank you for tuning in. And let's continue sharing optimism and positivity.